Let's talk more about the crisis now with Texas Department of Public Safety spokesperson Lieutenant Chris Olivarez. Lieutenant, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. I want to talk about those numbers. So in a new NewsNation Decision Desk HQ poll finds voters, like we mentioned, see immigration as the biggest problem facing the U.S., second only to inflation. Now, a lot of voters believe shutting down the border is the answer, followed by building a wall along the southern border, expanding green cards, visas, prioritizing customs and border protection funding. Lieutenant, you're on the ground. You see this firsthand. What do you believe is the best policy fix?
Well, I mean, first off, and I think we know that for a fact that we've been talking about this for the last 3 years of how serious this border situation has become and how it impacts the entire country. And that's why we see it in that polling where it does impact the entire country. It does impact fellow Americans. They're starting to see this impact as far as the border because it's starting to reach their own backyard in some of these other states and cities. Now, when we talk about the border itself, I mean, obviously, we can have all the funding, which we've been doing in Texas, and also, physical barriers such as a border wall, which we also have been doing in Texas. But when it really comes down to slowing the flow of illegal immigration, we need to have policies in place that are actually going to slow that flow and hold people accountable that do violate federal laws. I mean, we've had that prior to 2021. We did have effective border policies, regardless if people felt that there was, critical or they had some criticism about them. But the fact of the matter is it was working. It was slowing the flow. And you look at the numbers, 1.5 million right now, this fiscal year, same time last year, we have surpassed those numbers and we still have 6 more months left in this fiscal year. We're going to hit well over 2 million. So I think the numbers speak for themselves, but we need to have policies in place, regardless of whoever the leadership is. We need to have someone that's actually going to take on these policies and slow the flow of illegal immigration, but also put more pressure on Mexico as well, because the majority of these illegal immigrants are coming through Mexico. So we need Mexico to do their part to stop that flow as well on their border.
Well, we know it's top of mind for voters. The poll also found that Americans are divided on the impact of illegal immigration. I'm going to break down these numbers. 27% believe it leads to more people on government welfare. 26% don't have any concerns about people immigrating to the U.S. 19% say immigration leads to more crime. 11% says it leads to overcrowding. 9% say less jobs. So as someone on the border dealing with this crisis every single day, how do you see it, Lieutenant?
Well, I do. I think there is going to be an economic issue, especially in the future. I mean, you're talking about millions that are going to be in the country by the time we're done with this last year. I mean, it is going to have an economic strain across the country as well, because people that are in the country right now, the government will need to care for them, either provide shelter, schooling, medical, whatever the resources are. It's going to put a strain on that. And also, you look at the people that have been in the country years ago that are waiting right now, millions that are waiting right now to do it the legal way. Now they're at the back of the line because you have millions that are coming in right now that are surpassing that. And now it's going to create an issue for them as well to try to seek some type of citizenship. So it is a much broader issue when we talk about illegal immigration. That's why it's so important to have a more controlled flow where you can have people vetted properly and go through the process properly as well. I think that will alleviate some of that strain. But as of right now, this is what we're dealing with.
I want to show our viewers an image that you posted over the weekend. It shows a 14-year-old who was allegedly helping smuggle people into this country. Again, a teenager. How often are you finding children involved in these cartel smuggling operations? We're looking at that picture right now.
It's very unfortunate that we're starting to see more juveniles that are helping to facilitate, criminal activity across the border. And that's why the Mexican drug cartels, they recruit drivers, they recruit young teenagers that you're seeing right there on those images on both sides in Mexico and the United States to help facilitate their criminal activity, whether it be drug smuggling or human smuggling. A lot of these young adults, these juveniles, have no idea what they're getting themselves into when they're dealing with these criminals. And the fact that the cartels continue to use deceptive advertising on social media platforms because they know that social media is the best way to target a young audience, and that's what they do. Snapchat, TikTok, all these different social media platforms to target young adults, young juveniles, to help facilitate their criminal activity. So it makes it much more dangerous for these young juveniles that are taking part in this type of criminal activity. We deal with it every single day, and that's why we urge as a state to make sure parents, anyone that's out there, to really monitor your child's social media, see who they're hanging out with, who they're dealing with, because this is the type of activity that the criminals are targeting.
Great advice, and thank you for your insight of you actually being on the ground there, Lieutenant Chris Olivarez. We appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.